Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. In this episode, we're going to take a look at a piece by the artist Darius Puia, also known as BakaArts, and he is an artist working primarily in the medium of digital rendering. In this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about implied motion. We're going to talk about the Dioscuri twins, and then we're going to end it off with what I've referred to as science fiction spiritualism. So let's jump right into it. So whenever you first see this piece, the first thing that I notice is just how tall this frame is. And this feels really reminiscent of kind of like a full body portraiture type of feel. And the reason I say this is because, of course, it's incredibly tall. It captures the full form of both of our subjects here. And it captures, Castor and Pollux with absolute ease. And so, that kind of tall canvas also introduces us to this kind of grand sense of spiritualism or divinity. And we're going to talk about the halo as well here in a second. And so, you see an incredibly diverse color palette in the piece at hand. And this diverse color palette, it kind of mimics the kind of like the dynamic diversity of our known universe, as well as this dynamic color really creates an energetic and invigorating visual experience for all who stand before it. So I think those are both are really important whenever you take a look at this work. Really diverse color and, of course, a very energetic visual experience as a result of that. And so we see, the placement of our subjects, it kind of feels like almost like a double helix feel. And the reason I say that is because there's kind of this like intertwined and mix in that. And so I see kind of like this double helix aesthetic. And whenever I first saw this piece, what came to mind was like a double helix dance. And so if you read the original written description for this piece, you'll see how I mentioned that there's kind of in this dual sense of motion. They're united in this kind of double helix dance. And I think that's really important. Of course, there's this sense of implied motion within this work. Of course, there's straight lines here on the edges, but our subjects, it's just a straight curved form all the way. And so curved forms always imply a sense of motion. That also combines with kind of that diverse coloring to create a really energetic visual experience alongside that as well. And so this piece is entitled Gemini. And so Gemini is the third astrological sign in the zodiac. And from Greek origin, they were the twins Castor and Pollux. And in the story, Castor is mortal. And so, of course, mortality is defined by an end or an end to death, so it is limited. So due to that kind of limit of mortality, Pollux pleaded with Zeus to grant Castor immortality. And so Zeus granted immortality and then united them both in the highest of heavens. And so what we see in this piece is Castor and Pollux united together in the heavens. And it's pretty interesting as well because the sky is always a kind of priceless symbol of immortality as well. And the sky is kind of infinite. And so, the reason he elevated Castor to god status and then put them both united up in the heavens. And so their placement in that cosmic sky really it goes straight in hand with the symbolism of immortality, because the sky is a priceless symbol of immortality. So you see them united in the heavens as they've both reached the status of the divine. And so with that in mind, we see kind of a much more modern depiction of the halo. Of course, the original was a nimbus, which was kind of like a flat yellow disc behind that. But we see a much more modern depiction of the nimbus, which is what we call the halo. And the halo really denotes the divinity of these characters to the densest degree possible. Of course, in the story, they are both united to that divine status. And so they're set in this kind of cosmic sky to represent immortality, but they're also given the really iconic halo that everyone notices whenever they first see this piece. So there's that kind of sense of divinity. It brings back the story of the Gemini from the Greek zodiac, and I think it does a very, very good job at that. And so I also see what I call influences of kind of science fiction spiritualism. And what I mean by that is, see, if we take a look at the characters here, it almost feels like they have some type of like exosuits. They're wearing some type of like tech gear. And so I see the science fiction influence of that. And then, of course, the divine, the halo, the zodiac, all of that really feels like a sense of spiritualism. And so what we see here is kind of like a science fiction spiritualism. And I thought that was really interesting to kind of showcase its study, and I really wanted to share it with you guys today. And so now we're going to take a look at one of his other pieces, and we're going to compare the two and see what we can learn, and even see some kind of another depiction of science fiction spiritualism. So let's take a look at that real quick. All right, so here we are. I have both pieces side by side. This piece on the left was, I believe, It's kind of like Blossom, something like Blossom. We showcased it, I believe, last month, and it was a really, really cool piece. And so the first things that I notice here are kind of the form or the detail of what I appear to be kind of science fiction exosuits or some type of tech gear that's influenced with the form of their bodies here. And of course, you have Castor and Pollux here, and then on here we have an unknown subject. This piece felt like a genesis of life and kind of the blooming of life or the blossoming of life as well. And so if you look at the form, they both kind of have that exoskeleton type of feel or that exoskeleton kind of aesthetic. I guess maybe not an exoskeleton, but some type of like tech gear or some type of science fiction influence in the form of our subjects here. And so that's the main thing that I see within these works. And then also that kind of divine golden light. We see the golden light here to represent the blossoming or the genesis of life. And then in here, of course, you have that gold halo and you have a little bit of kind of gold yellowish tones and that cosmic coloring background. So both of these, that the detailed form, and then that golden light, and kind of this sense of divinity or this sense of spirituality. I think the both of these really display that quite masterfully. And so, with that in mind, I refer to that as science fiction spiritualism, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that as time goes on. Of course, art is one of the best mediums to depict the divine realm, and I think that BakaArts does that with absolute ease. So I hope you guys enjoyed. So in this piece, we talked a little bit about implied motion. We talked about the Dioscuri twins from the Gemini zodiac, third astrological sign. And then we also talked about this sense of science fiction spiritualism. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. Go check out Darius Puia's other pieces. He has a lot of digital art on the global digital art market. So if you guys want to support him directly to be able to continue making a living as an artist, that'd be absolutely amazing. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. My name is Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.